Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the TELUS Esports Series. This time, it's the third one, and I'm back. I'm Dia. This time, joined by a very good friend of mine, Zephyr. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. I got the opportunity to watch from the sidelines last time around as we saw the second TELUS Esports Series, but I have been waiting for this day. I know this one's going to be just as good, if not potentially better, Dia.
We know that Zephyr loves Canadians because Zephyr loves me. We've been working together for a very long time. You actually may have seen this duo featured on the ALGS, but we're here to cover some Canadian talent. And with the TELUS Esports Series 3, that's what it's all about, is giving Canadian gamers the opportunity to participate in the highest level of competitive available to them. And TELUS is making that happen, along with, of course, our wonderful sponsors. So a big thank you to Samsung, Skullcandy, Logitech, and Astro for partnering with us in this event. And Zephyr, let's talk a little bit about this event, because we are running things a little bit differently than the TELUS Esports Series 2, because we've separated this into phases. No longer do you register for a division, now you get sorted into one.
All right. Obviously, there's some treats that lay ahead here for so many of our competitors, but I think it's time we talk about one instead, one that hits a little bit closer to home here. For those of you who don't know, it is a lovely day to be blessed upon this earth. It's a day that shares of the birth of one man, a beautiful man, one with luscious brown hair and Canadian glory and all and more. And he turns 27 today. Happy birthday, Rafa.
Thank you, Zephyr. I did not expect that. At all. So thank you to you, whoever made that happen. I cannot think of, I'm red right now. I cannot think of a better way to be spending my birthday than watching Canadian talent. So Zephyr, I'm going to try this one again. Let's talk a little bit about the tournament before I lose my mind. We're separating this one into phases. We are currently in phase 1 of the TELUS Esports Series 3 featuring Apex Legends, and that is the open qualifiers, and it's where, Zephyr, we sort people into divisions. How does it work?
Absolutely. So while we were starting these open qualifiers, your performance here absolutely counts. The best of the best in the top 40 specifically will be ranked into your Division 1. Below the top 40, the top 33% will find their way into Division 2, and then the lowest 34% of players see into Division 4. And that kind of mix that ends up at the very, very end, the tail bit there, will find their way in Division 3. So to be honest, quite a bit at stake here.
And the purpose of these initial qualifiers is to give everyone participating in these tournaments the opportunity to play at a level that they feel reflects their ability. This is meant to be accessible to gamers across Canada as a way to build community, and so it's for that reason that we're going through this sort of open format where we sort people into their separate divisions. However, once you are sorted, that's where the real competition really gets dialed in. When we hit the playoffs, it is all about accumulating the most points that you can over those series in order to qualify yourself for the finals. And the finals is that very stock standard pinnacle of Apex Legends match point format.
You literally can't go just about anywhere without seeing match point rear its head, especially for an event as big as this here. So for those teams, it's not just a standard competition. It is going to be as competitive as it gets, and that's something that I really like about the TELUS Esports Series. It's the format and way that we see these teams find themselves into appropriate divisions where you will match up against players that are much like yourself.
Now, because the TELUS Esports Series 3 features more than just Apex Legends, we've also got, of course, Rocket League and its mobile companion. It's worth maybe catching the audience up on exactly how we work things in Apex Legends, because some people may never have seen a Battle Royale before, and if you haven't, if this is your first time, this is, of course, a sort of last man standing, or shall we say last team standing format. So if you do get first place, if you do survive until the end, you're going to get 12 points for making it all the way there. Second place speaks for itself, 9 points, and it's all on the graphic. But the big thing, the one that will change, will separate good teams from great teams, is that other way to get points, Zephyr. Tell me what it is.
One potential point on the board per every single elimination that you are able to find for yourself. It's about as standard as it gets for Apex Legends, so it could be potentially incredibly rewarding, especially today.
Exactly. Because you are going to be facing off against some very scary teams who do want the better part of the prizing. Let's actually talk a little bit more about that, because TELUS and their sponsors have been generous enough to put up $50,000 across the entire event, of course, with Apex Legends, Rocket League, Sideswipe, and a couple of giveaways we got for you guys in the audience. Of course, a big thank you again to our sponsors who have made this possible: the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Skullcandy, Logitech, and our friends over at Astro.
And that is a huge chunk of prizing that is still available,
Yeah.
even though, yes, it does start to split down in terms of our divisions here. $20,000 alone for Apex Legends is a massive amount to invest.
It really is, and when we consider that this is an amount that's available to gamers of all levels, because we are splitting people into divisions that we feel reflect their ability in these games, we're giving even casual Canadian gamers the opportunity to compete in a sport that they love and just try it out. I've felt this way, Zephyr. You know, I'm getting a little bit older now, and I'm looking at rec leagues around me. I'm like, oh, what can I do? And I feel like oftentimes there is no division between getting massacred at a pickup basketball event or playing with children. And right now, at the TELUS Esports Series, we're giving people the opportunity to play video games at a level that can give them some sort of fun, while also not just being an obliteration.
I was going to be honest there. You were kind of leading me in the direction of shuffleboard. Your recreational shuffleboard league, as you're starting to get particularly older here.
That's true.
I thought that's what we were. I at least in my years of knowing you have known you to be a prolific shuffler.
Have you? Do you think that I'm gonna be like a bingo adult? You know, I'm gonna get into my 70s and I'm gonna start playing bingo. I could see it happening. I don't know. I need a little bit more whimsy in me.
A whimsy? You think bingo is whimsy? It is.
Bingo seems whimsical.
In what way? Read number, stamp number, bingo.
Because it's a game about hope, Zephyr. Every time you play bingo, that's it. I mean, it's either that or I'm pivoting into like hard poker, Grandpa.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I'm cards man myself. Maybe not that, but maybe bridge. I think that's something typically that you hear there.
That'll get the heart rate going. Yeah, bridge can be, that's a high-octane card game. Fortunately, we're going to take this one, pivot it back to Apex Legends before we completely lose anybody who's interested in Apex Legends, because this is going to be a lot more exciting than bridge, and it's going to feature a lot of really critical end-game fights. Zephyr, when we're jumping into the games today, because there are going to be people, again, of all skill levels competing in this, a big part of it is going to be evaluating where the strategies of all these teams are at and how they're choosing to tackle these lobbies where there are a lot of unknowns that you're going up against.
Right. We talked about the fact that it is open, so that means that there could be a lion waiting to represent their pride, to arrive among the rest at the top of some of these leaderboards here, which can be a little bit taxing potentially for some of the prey that lurk here. And while I don't think it'll all just be the one team that comes out, there'll definitely be a handful that might stand above the rest here. So it'll be very interesting to see how they treat.
There really could, and I think it's worth talking about some of our previous victors as well, because when you say a handful that stand among the rest, I'm keeping an eye out for our previous victors from the TELUS Esports Series 2 to make their return. In our Open Skills division, you would have seen BR Demons going absolutely crazy, even in the finals. These guys were popping off. The Canadian Demons right behind them, LPB, Wee Wee Poutine, Bagged Milk, and Zephyr, make no mistake, Canadians don't just compete in the TELUS Esports Series 3. We've got our top talent representing us in the ALGS.
I was about to say, you actually do have a larger swath of that North American side of things that do tend to compete there.
Yeah, it's been really wonderful for those of you who've been keeping up recently with whether it be scrims, whether it be recent tournaments in North America. Oxygen Esports, 2/3 Canadian, they've been crushing it recently, Zephyr.
It's it has been a development here that has surprised many. I know we just saw recent tournaments here, third party, where we just saw this roster come anew, rebirthed underneath that Oxygen name, and now, I mean, has slammed it out of the park, and not just against the casual market of North Americans, but we're talking quite literally neck and neck up against the likes of TSM and NRG, which granted is way more interesting in terms of narrative, especially when we start talking about that LAN in less than a month.
Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to in that global Apex scene. But for today, if you happen to catch a glimpse of Reeds, Aiden the Destroyer, or Senox, you got to be pretty afraid. And to tell you what, you might be pretty afraid of these guys right now, as it looks like we have already dropped into a game, and this is week 4 highlights. This is what we're rolling with. Woohoo! Let's take a look at what happened over the past couple of weeks, Zephyr.
I like this, though, kind of giving a minor impression regarding where the quality of some of these lobbies is, as well as kind of what they may be picking. Typically, I know we like to talk about the gunplay, skill set, and the level of expertise here, but I always do like to see what picks. I mean, how often you get to see the Seer Caustic Wraith?
Speaking of Seer, actually, Zephyr, we
Gosh.
haven't talked about this yet. I know the patch isn't going to be kicking in today, but what do you think of the Seer changes recently? Zephyr is like, do I put a controversial opinion?
How many people are watching? No. Personally, I'm still left up in the aspect of kind of waiting to see how it kind of falls here as teams adjust in the meta. I think Steer is still very good informationally, but in terms of play style, it's completely different now. A lot to be adjusted, much more aggro in a sense of how you have to play. You can no longer just simply utilize him as a defensive option here. So team's going to be a little bit more on a state to deliver, especially when we really get into discussing that tactical, which it won't be today, but I know for a fact we will be seeing it here as things develop over the course of these next few weeks. And for anyone watching, TELUS Esports Series will have Seer.
Yeah, that's the exciting thing too, is that we're not just commentating today. You and I will be making our return over the next couple of weeks to cover the rest of the Open Division, as well as then the start of the playoffs, and seeing how these teams change things up, if they choose to change things up. As we also got in the previous TELUS Esports Series, a lot of folks that just insisted on playing Apex Legends their way, and honestly made it look pretty darn good. Some legends that may have been notably missing from competitive Apex Legends globally, say things like the Ashe that got pulled out, Rampart, who I will say has gotten a little bit more favor recently, and even the Vantage.
I was about to say, some of those one-trick ponies really crawling out from their dens here to capitalize on, well, what they play best here. And honestly, like you said, if it works, it works. It's something that represents here.
That's the really nice thing. As you also touched on, Zephyr, it does come down to gunplay quite a bit, and that's something that will separate the goods from the greats, especially on this first day. Your ability literally just to hit shots, especially at close range, determines a lot in Apex Legends, even though it is I would say, relatively ability-focused game as well. Managing cooldowns is a really important skill, of course, but for those that are just jumping into their first competitive experience, you're going to find out exactly how quickly you can be beamed down when you run the corner into 3 people.
Some of these teams don't know what's waiting for them, especially on the corner of these storms. You're going to be entering your way in, and it'll all be said and done before you even get a glimpse at what lays ahead here. And personally, that's what makes this exciting. It's not all settled in stone here. 18 teams sitting in a Zone 4 waiting to see exactly how this ends. I mean, between contests and potentially some compositions that are a little bit more target heavy, we'll be seeing plenty of action.
Now, we've got a lot to look forward to in today's competition, Zephyr, but as we talked about, there are plenty of giveaways going on throughout the TELUS Esports Series as well, and some of those are even centered around our Discord. So, if you guys want to get in on this, if you're interested in Canadian esports and perhaps have just rolled up to the stream and are going, what on earth is going on? TELUS, I know them. They provide me some amazing internet, because they do. Thank you, TELUS, for making my job possible. They've also got a Discord up and running where you can connect with like-minded Canadian gamers from all across, well, you guessed it, Canada, and link up to play some Apex Legends, play perhaps even some other games, some Rocket League, perhaps, not just in our competitions, but with each other.
there is plenty in store here if you are someone who likes to game. That is all that matters, and that is what TELUS Esports Series represents, not just within Apex, but plenty of the titles that they have continued to accumulate here, which has been definitely something that I've really enjoyed, especially over the very little time they've appeared in the scene.
Well, it looks like, Zephyr, we are about to get into our first game. A reminder to everyone, this is our first game of 4 that we will be playing over the course of the night. We've got a few teams, a few lobbies even, scattered around everywhere, so we've plucked one out and are going to find out what sorts of players, what sorts of plays we'll get in the first round of the TELUS Esports Series 3, as everyone does fight to be slotted into the most appropriate division possible. I'm expecting some really exciting gameplay. I'm expecting some very interesting hot drops, especially as in the first game of any day, you've always got some teams that are adapting to each other and do want to fight over the most powerful POI, be it, let's say, Stacks, let's say Lava Siphon, where we've seen a lot of contests recently. If there are any fans of International Apex Legends here.
I know I am, but I'll leave that discussion later because it's not going to reflect too well on me right now. Past that, though, finally into the action here, as you can tell. And granted, we will be starting with a little bit more minimal of a lobby. That should, though, typically allow for spacing. I am looking towards that Lava Siphon region that you just discussed, and we are potentially going to see... Actually, no. This one looking more towards Harvester.
Yeah, nobody going Monument, nobody going Stacks, and, well, it looks like we're going to have one less team in Harvester, if these folks got anything to say about it. Snowscara did already open up with a quick beam, and I know that we've got some interesting character selections in the lobby as well. We got Crimson Lotus running a ballistic over in Countdown. They've got the Catalyst and the Horizon as well, so some perhaps more skirmish-oriented compositions for these teams, and Dead Off Drop running one of them.
Yep, like you said here, still utilizing something that I would say is more normalized in terms of our recent meta. The Horizon definitely making its play kind of back into things here, but they live up to the name. Dead Off Drop, and I am starting to see some familiar ones up there in the kill feed there. Jen Rachel, she's finding some knocks in her own regards here from her female competitors.
Now with Dead Off Drop landing their way in Harvester, an upgraded POI, I'll say, especially with this center area more recently accessible. They've actually got themselves some really good armors to open things up. We got double purples plus a blue, and RE45 already in the hands of Migo, and with a Bangalore as well, you're going to be looking for digis. You're going to be looking for maybe even the opportunity to crack open the vault that lies just north, and incidentally, also towards the next zone.
Wow.
That does, from our perspective, look to be bringing us a little further up. And we got even more female competitors. Is that what you're looking at? Dux and Exodia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dux, Exodia, Miss Dopey over there clearing out trials right now. I want everyone to know that this is an immaculate roster, especially in the women's scene for Apex Legends. So we'll have to check out how they fare. Crimson Lotus, we talked about them fairly early on, seeming like they're starting to take a pretty aggro position. I don't know if they actually know that Dopey is below them in the trials, and this is going to cause a little bit of a split.
It's interesting. I know that I knew that Dux and Dopey were looking for a third coming into today. Didn't know that Exodia had been picked up, but very, very talented, and Luminosity going to be well represented in this tournament and in this first game, something that the Canadian Demons have already been eliminated from. So a big surprise if you tuned into the TELUS Esports Series 2, as they placed second in both our advanced and open skills division, but the Canadian Demons are one of the first to be eliminated as we start off this round.
I'm not sure, but I might have seen them up there towards that north side. Either way, it's something that will hopefully find its pacing. Meanwhile, Chad GPT really representing here with the Revenant Mad Maggie Catalyst. And I personally need to figure out exactly how this composition is working, because in my inner machinations of all I know of Apex, I haven't figured it out.
Brilliant name. I'm sure brilliant players. I like what they're trying out. And you know what? I can see a few use cases for this. You know, Rev Mad Maggie. I don't. Maybe the synergy isn't quite there. Rev Catalyst, actually, that could work pretty well. You set up some defense for your totem. You run at somebody with a wall. I'm just theory crafting, and that's what we've got time to do because there are 10 squads, and round 1's just starting to close, as you talked about earlier, Zephyr. There's going to be plenty of time for these players from all around World's Edge to pile on in and pick their best spot, but nobody is by any means forced to fight each other at this point in the game.
No, it is even more of a kind of topic to discuss, given the fact that that's kind of where our zone pulls. We start talking about that northern section of the map, with part of it being in the face of Skyhook, Survey Camp, Epicenter. I mean, these are huge chunks of land that we typically see more than enough teams that tend to set themselves up. Now, I will say, I am looking towards that kind of southern fragment choke outside the geyser. Might see some action here as these more southern teams make their way in.
I like Luminosity's choice to use the Loba here as well. It's a really nice starter, especially when you don't know what the lobby is going to hold for you, because there's great flexibility in what you're able to play. She can take those aggressive off angles by using her bracelet or tactical in order to flank the enemy. You can play a little bit more aggressive because you have the safety, but you also provide your team a lot of safety in the end game by being able to pick up a few extra, oh my gosh, grenades, etc. Perhaps even some shield bats, but we've got a little fight going on here. This is not something that I expected to break out right between Geyser and No Name. We got the bricked lads going up, but they've already lost one. The Horizon down on the floor. Prowler does work for Hierarchy. He is able to hold it down as another team of 3 comes in. It's the third party, and the bricked lads gotta leave Docto down for dead. Hierarchy's gonna get taken out as well. And the bricked lad, the last one alive on the disengage, is running from what I can only assume to be Chad GPT.
Mind you, AP.exe is officially eliminated here, and you'd be right with that silence down, the ticking of the totem. This is Chad GPT looking to finalize that last remaining member. A good beam sends one back, but I can't imagine you last longer.
Bricked lads put up a good fight, though. That was a nice way for the bricked lad Mello to be able to at least trade one in the initial skirmish, taking down Baxter. But Chad GPT are going to get a really quick reset here. As we said, not a lot of teams, not so much density in this lobby, so they really don't have much to worry about in terms of third parties. There are only really 2 teams approaching from the south at all at this point in the game.
I think we got to see part of what was one of those teams making their way in. So all said and done for ChatGPT, they're going to take themselves out of that and see if they can enjoy the spoils of their war for now, though. We'll take a look at the northern end as lots of area, lots of space to play with here. Everyone's just starting to get their footing.
2 teams in Climatizer, and again, plenty of space, especially right now. If Dead Off Drop want to choose to take a 3v3, they can absolutely do it. We get that initial shield break pinged out, and with a Pathfinder already on low HP, you don't have a whole lot of defensive abilities on the Pathfinder. Instead, needed to relocate. Dead Off Drop do take some shots from what sounds like a bow check coming out of Climatizer, but they can play this slow and safe.
Mind you, if there really is any damage expended on the opposite end here, I mean, there's more than enough in terms of rotating towards that western end. We will see our zone cater in just about 2 minutes here. So for Dead Off Drop, they do start to foot it just a little bit closer, especially with the cover of that Rolling Thunder. They have all the time in the world to make this gap close, and we see if they can set themselves up.
Really smart use of Bangalore's cooldowns, not necessarily using them just for damage, but instead to close the gap. Horizon ult's going to break the initial reinforced door, and it looks like it's not going to be put back up again. Instead, Dead Off Drop have dropped yet another team, and King Blue hit the floor.
King Blue, all said and done here, as Miquo is the official killer of almost what seems like this entire squad. 4 KP on just this single individual's belt here. For Dead Off Drop, they now handedly lead the pack, and I remind you, this is a team that started all the way in Harvester, so very quickly rotating.
Fortunately, we get to check back in with our teams that are playing a little bit more up towards the north, or perhaps a little more zone-centric style, I should say. Luminosity Gaming have been playing this one really safe as Dux takes a gamble, dodging in between these windows and door. Ends up losing part of her shields, but Luminosity Gaming as a whole should be relatively safe. Dopey's going to pop up and try and get this Wraith off their back. Looks like it'll work for now. But Luminosity aren't exactly in the most comfortable positions. They're being harassed from every angle, and they don't have a catalyst to make this safer.
No, not at all here. Still, this is quite an opponent to go up against.
Whoa.
Meanwhile, targeted from both angles here. Exodia and Dopey will face worse for wear. Quasta does go down in the meanwhile, so is left up to one, but Dopey has no time to recover.
Fez. Is that how we're saying this? Fez? Fez take out Luminosity Gaming. Really well played from them as well. I think much like a lot of other teams recognizing they've got the space and time to do it, especially with Blood. You got full information. You got a lot of harass with Maggie. And now, well, time for the next challenge.
I'll tell you what. I mean, Tro is one of the managers for the FaZe GC team.
Mm-hmm.
So, technically, slightly representing where the home comes from.
Yeah. I could see it. I like the name. I think, you know, fair enough. You're gonna play a little more aggressively as well. You may as well bring it back home to the brand. Crimson Lotus have been watching this all go down, have chosen not to get involved even with the Ballistic Catalyst Horizon, but make no mistake, they've been around the block. They actually placed 4th in our intermediate division during the TELUS Esports Series 2, so Crimson Lotus know what they're doing in a lobby like this.
Taking their time here on the outside. Chad GPT slowly working their way, and we'll find a perfect lineup on Azyla. A 1-2-3 count there from Giga Zeus, and while that Dark Veil is down, you can see Baxter already moving in so quickly here to punish.
Here he goes, up the wall and to the roof. Chad GPT are playing really aggressive, even with these catalyst spikes they've got to walk through. Wingman shot's not quite going to connect, but we're jumping on to the next level to take out Roundhouse. And Chad GPT claim yet another victim.
And mind you, set up with that golden knockdown shield, you can tell now, as this team is as aggro as it gets, they will have the most perfect reset ability. Maybe for those who don't follow Apex, that golden knockdown gonna give you that option to come back into it with that extra health and shielding off of a revive.
Already trading it out as well. I like the option to give it to your Catalyst player. It's something you'll see even teams at the top level do, because Backstar now has the gold knockdown shield. Catalyst, who has so much more ability to reinforce doors, give you that extra safety, and even use the Catalyst Wall, or Dark Veil as you may know it, to block off line of sight, tends to have a little bit more opportunity to actually pick up her teammates than most other legends.
Now, funny enough, as we do get to see a little bit of the circle, it's less about finding your way into zone at this point and more where some of our teams are at. Fez, who was competing out there in Skyhook, in the middle of all those shots, opted to go for a low and deep chase here into the fragment. Meanwhile, we still have this particular hold for now. Train line getting a bit contested here on the gatekeep.
Now, if we're playing this by the book, Zephyr, and we're not, if we were playing this by the book, Dead Off Drop have one of the best positions in the game. Playing up to the north on these train lines is really, really good in an ALGS style lobby where you have an incredible amount of teams left until endgame. We have 5. Dead Off Drop have nothing to do right now, but just fire their bullets away into the Meta Knights.
Mind you, for Meta Knights, they don't have to deal with this. If this is too much pressure to handle, walk away. The entire south side of that train line is completely open. You have all the rotational, but standing still will get you truly nowhere for Dead Off Drop. This is just simply the go button.
Good angle, and with the Digi as well. Big point of conversation recently, but Alana's already been thirsted, and Dead Off Drop really don't have a way to get damage thrown back at them with the smokes in between them and the opposition, and an R99 in the hands of Meekwo. They are being chillin' up here.
They're ice cream up here, by the way. That's very funny. I am genuinely so shocked that they don't go for that full chase there. I mean, they have the freedom to do so. They know for a fact that this can be a very simple excursion. And also, notably, something that we might get to see here is a little bit of a rarity is the fact that because you have this Loba on Meta Knights, guess what? You can get Lanaroos back into this.
One of the difficult parts about this, however, is that the only crafter left inside of this zone, which you can no longer leave, is going to be dead in the center of Survey, dead in the center of every team that wants to rotate into the end game. Those zones that are pulling us ever further north, and you might not even make it there. Chad GPT have you in their sights. They know shield breaks occurred, and they only saw 2. This should be them pulling the trigger on the push.
It's that first drop down there onto Mando or David. See if they can continue chasing. And then that Ash portal, as good as it is as closing a distance, it is just as quick for any team following up from behind here. And we are starting to leave, though, into that survey camp area. So maybe keep your eyes out for dead on drop.
Loba's still alive. Interesting note here. We do, again, have the ability to craft banners, but Chad GPT would have to make a big... have a big oversight in order to let that happen. FaZe, however, they're starting to apply some pressure up towards the north. It's them going up against dead off drop. 2 of the last 4 squads remaining are fighting it out for control of the north.
For FaZe, they've wrapped all the way around through that eastern side, trying to hunt out what little remains here, and they've come up right behind dead off drop in a prime position. Costa also taking some of those off angles, and with some of those breaks coming through, I can only imagine we're seconds away from some of the first knocks.
Yeah, I really like this angle, and 10 seconds left on scan does keep you from being super comfortable pushing up. No Digi on this Volt, so FaZe can't see through the smoke just yet, even with the Bloodhound ult expired. Chad GPT playing a totally separate game here. Remember, there are technically only 3 full squads left in this ring.
See if they can walk this one here. Tro here is being shot back as Hassan on Smurf does find chunks of damage, literally sitting one here. Finally, it's that final G7 scout shot that does do him in, but it's going to be that quick revive, that full
knockdown
health, gold knockdown, and Hassan is back in it.
That was a nice clutch way to have that really come up as well. The Mennonites, unfortunately, now taken down 2 full squads and 1 single player left alive, dead off drop, playing things out to the east, playing things scared as FaZe have taken control of the lobby and that all-important train line that we talked about, Zephyr.
Now, I'm still incredibly curious on how impactful this is truly going to be. For FaZe, in real respects, it is technically just a 3v3 situation. And while that height is good, it is still more direct than anything you could potentially get. There is a singular rat here that could throw a wrench into either one of these teams' plans. We'll see.
It's time we play things patient. Unless Chad GPT make a crazy push, find themselves 1 member very much caught out of position. FaZe don't have too much to worry about, but here goes the Catalyst Wall, and this is a really smart play to try and take control of some of the height. FaZe are going to be forced down onto the low ground. Quick scan reveals that they've still got something to go for, but wait until this wall drops because Chad GPT, it's going to be perform or die for them. FaZe are ceding control of the high ground, playing things slowly, and just on this rock, you have no idea where the competition will pop out next.
Mind you, they've climbed higher and higher here in the meanwhile, but Costa with a beautiful off angle to start laying in some of that damage, seeing that rotation come through, but Gigazeus with that Nemesis is just as quick to find those drops. Maggie drill!
Coach just drops to the floor. This is a brilliant play from Chad GPT. It leaves FaZe with, again, 1 member left, and now we've got 2 squads suffering the same fate. It isn't a matter of determining who wins this game. It's a matter of determining who gets second at this point. With only 2, we'll call them rats, still left alive. Dead off drop, they're gone now. FaZe know that there's no chance to win this game, and let's see what Costa can get done.
Stepping in here with that Beast of the Hunt, 21 seconds to go, but it is a double pinch from both sides, and Chad GPT rocking the Revenant and the Mad Maggie. They deliver in an unprecedented, unmeta way.
That was such a cool game to watch play out, because we don't get end games like that so often. As we talked about, We tend to see games where there are a lot of squads in the end zone, but this looked like it was phases to control for a very long time, and all of a sudden they had that ripped away by a single good catalyst wall.
Backstar is quite literally the reason we see ChatGPT come out on top of that last fight there. It was a perfect catalyst wall, but they didn't just kind of shore up against it in a source of cover. They went further. They said if we have the opportunity to dissuade and, well, disorganize what lays out ahead of us in the face of phase, they're going to send it. So quickly did they start to push to accumulate that height to take away that other end, which personally I don't think FaZe was expecting at all. Or Fez. We'll say Fez.
We'll say Fez? Yeah, we can do that. Now, Zephyr, I was really impressed with the way, of course, that both of these teams played the game, and I think that it highlights something really important about these initial divisions where we're trying to sort everybody in the first phase of the TELUS Esports Series 3, because you've accumulated a lot of points as ChatGPT simply by playing aggressive. Their composition may not be orthodox, but it's looking really good with this style of lobby.
Not just them, too. I know we were talking about Fez here and, of course, ChatGPT, but Dead on Drop was absolutely immaculate through so much of this game, and it's a shame that we do see them fall in third there. Never quite got to see exactly how they were punished towards that train line, but they had an incredible rotation, a successful contest on Harvester, a massive swing into Climatizer, picking up KP there, and plenty of KP.
Yeah, this looked really good for them. They did a lot of good for themselves in this first round. And while we're here, I think it's only fair we talk about the good that TELUS is doing for others. We have, of course, got TELUS as our presenter of the TELUS Esports Series 3, but they do more than just run esports tournaments. As I said, they provide internet, and they also have the TELUS Friendly Future Foundation, a really important charity doing work to empower youth all across Canada. They support grassroots charities by making sure that your donations go to the right place and taking that, figuring out exactly how you're going to make the most impact on an individual or on a group, taking that out of your hands and making sure that you're doing good for Canadian youth across the entire country. So check out the TELUS Friendly Future Foundation. You can type in !TELUS Foundation. That's the text in green near the bottom of your screen. Type that into the chat for a little bit more information and find out how you can contribute to help make Canada a friendlier place.
Is that a phone? That thing's a gaming machine! Is that Faker? Everyone, fasten your seatbelts! And here we go!
When I first heard about the TELUS Esports Series, I was like, there's no way.
I was absolutely stoked. You don't really hear about esports at all in Canada, let alone from a big company like TELUS.
Canada does have a scene, and we do have people who are thriving towards getting us into that bigger picture.
2 versus 1, and it should be their game. The Bronze Bonobos from second, now finally find first.
Simply put, the TELUS Esports Series is esports for everyone. It's our take on what we think the esports industry should look like and where we think it should go. It's way more fun to compete for something when there's something on the line. And the TELUS Esports Series gives players of all skill levels opportunities to experience that. We really want to make the gaming experience more fun for everyone, and we want to help the gaming industry evolve and grow the way that it should. And I think the time is right for it.
On the other side. Wait here. Back, knock one. We win, let's go!
Hey, blood down. 33. I'm shielding.
Cracked one.
Coming closer. Scanning now. Drop one. Drop one, yeah. No.
Cracked him. Got him.
Nice.
I'm tethered. I can't. You're sold.
I just punched this in the range though.
They're both inside!
I'm going on this.
My fence hit one.
On the roof with me.
Knocked her. Wait, he's coming up. Last one.
On me, I'm down. Right. On the roof.
50 on her. I'm pushing.
I clicked the charge. I couldn't get it.
Jeez.
Let's go, boys.
So it's done.
He's got a knock over here. Be careful. Got another knock on it. Playing in his knock. 140 off him, Aaron. Got him all. Let's go. Get inside.
Keep going. Back door. 64 Catalyst. We have to push that thing. Push him. Down. Keep going. Peeking. Back door. 64 Catalyst. We have to push on, I think. Push him. Down. Down two.
Crazy damn. I'm batting.
Last one here, please. All dead.
They're on a car.
Yeah.
We're on a high-speed chase.
Yo, what's going on?
Crack.
What is this game?
I'm lagging.
Let's go to smack back on. Go down.
They're down.
Je tape dessus. Il est sur le pad. Il est mort. Go down. Chill.
Oh no, down here, bro. Three. Actually three. I down one. Doctor cracked the ball. Will you shoot the catalyst? She's down. I'm gonna grenade her. One more in the corner.
Yep.
Dead.
He's one.
I got her.
Box,
dead.
box, ulting.
I got her. Nice.
Right here. Teams out there. Last one. Last team.
Welcome back to the TELUS Esports Series 3. I'm still Dia. I've still got Zephyr with me, but now Zephyr, things do change a little bit just because we get to run it back and see what happens differently. We're going to be jumping into yet another game of Apex Legends very shortly, where again, it's your job to accumulate as many points as possible, or not if you can't, because that's fine. Like, this is just us sorting teams, so.
I was about to say, it's fine if you just can't win.
Yeah.
It doesn't count yet. Count yet. This is just, we're all having good time. I'm kidding. It does. And at the end of the day, you'll be going up against potentially with someone who's maybe a little bit more your style here. I will say, though, DM, I was shocked that so many of our kind of bigger named entities did struggle kind of right off of the bat in some of our lobbies. I was expecting a lot from Luminosity, and obviously, you know the names better than I do, but that second place team there coming through early and facing, I believe, one of the first drops of the match.
Yeah, it was very surprising, and I think that these teams are caught as much off guard as we are, because you don't know until the day that you log in, until you're being sorted into lobbies here, exactly who you're going up against. You may not recognize some of these team names, and you certainly won't recognize a lot of the strategies, so I think we're getting some nerves towards the beginning of the tournament, but as you said earlier, it is okay. You can have a bad game. You can have a bad day, because at the end, we're running these initial games of Phase 1, not to determine prizing, just to determine who goes where. So as long as you're playing a game that you're enjoying, that you want to be playing for the TELUS Esports Series 3, this is your time to have fun, figure out how you work as a team, and embrace that competitive side of Apex Legends without having the fire lit under you just yet.
Right. And just to kind of remind the folks at home here, I mean, in a very real sense, I mean, this isn't all said and done today, right? I mean, it's not just specifically these 4 matches that you guys are seeing here. These players have had the opportunity to compete in the previous days as well as the future ones that will help them line up into these future divisions. So what might be a rough start is definitely something that you can walk away from this with the practice now in a little bit more of a competitive setting and say, what can I do better, right? How can I potentially make this work for me next week? So maybe I can match up with maybe someone who's a little bit on my skill level, or maybe not. It's in both ways, it's completely fine.
It's literally like, it is what it is today. Like, no matter what happens, you're going to be all right. You're going to have another opportunity to play. And we're going to see how the rest of this first day goes, the first couple of matches. We are dropping in again to World's Edge for the second time around, so these teams will have an opportunity on a map that perhaps is a little bit more familiar, that you may have been playing in the normal rotation with perhaps your squad, as I already know that keeping an eye on the TELUS Discord that's been going on, and we're seeing a lot of our teams who are just being put together for the first time, playing some ranked together, getting those games, and not just with each other, but with other teams that they're going up against to build that community that we talked about at the very start. And that's what this event is all about, and it's what's going on behind the scenes. So again, I invite all of you, jump into that Discord if you are feeling like you want to be connecting with Canadian gamers, because more often than not, I'll be honest, Zephyr, it's a lot more fun to play with friends.
Yeah, I would agree, and you've left me out to hang and dry for quite some time here, dear, and I can't blame you. You're a busy guy. You're a busy guy, but one day, you know, maybe find your way into a duo or a trio. We can get some of our other friendly faces here to maybe jump in with us. But I will say, you know, if what we've all said is true, I mean, today's the kill clip day, right? I mean, this is bragging rights at this point. I mean, it's what you throw out there on social media. It's what you throw out there. Represent TELUS Esports Series with pride.
Put up the big numbers, and let's jump into it. Second game on World's Edge. We actually saw a contest earlier on over at Harvester, and looks like it very, very well may be repeating itself. We've got a few mixed up compositions this time as well. Brock guys going to be landing over towards Survey Camp this time around, are rocking the Mirage Bloodhound Lifeline to feature one of the many talented competitors joining us today. Lava Siphon going to get a little bit more attention this time, as it turns out that Harvester contest ain't exactly what it used to be.
No, not at all, but it does seem like the Climatizer is one where you'd like to play. I'm shocked that a team has opted to land Bridge. I have never seen a team say, you know what, with all these available POIs, Bridge is where we're going.
So just to give my own 2 cents on this, I agree, Bridge ain't a POI. It's not bad if you want to just, like, see what's happening at Climatizer first. You drop in, you throw a few shots in, you at least make sure that you're clearing back towards Epicenter, and that actually looks like exactly what the Lightning Square are doing, just moving their way back into Epicenter and making sure that there isn't loot to pick up for, say, Canadian Demons on their way in, disincentivizing that loot path for them. And the Canadian Demons actually playing this one out as a duo. One of our first squads to be eliminated last time are going to have to be a little bit more careful, as we've also got a fight going on over at staging.
Crimson Lotus here with already great positioning. Fez here on this low ground. We'll see if they can potentially make good recoveries. It was our most recent match where they had potentially a win, handcrafted, handed to them, that they managed to drop. But I will say, Crimson Lotus kind of losing, dropping the ball here. They're letting Fez really get this height.
They're changing up the composition as well. Crimson Lotus were our ballistic team from last game, and they've swapped things over to the Gibraltar Horizon Wraith. It's not a crazy competition, but seeing Gibraltar in anything this season is certainly a little bit unusual, Zephyr.
I personally don't think it is super unusual, especially with what we might be seeing in the future, with Seer being a little bit on the downtrodden end. You still are now going to be able to get those revive domes back in play. You know, defensive bombardment maybe making its way through here, but haven't seen anything of that just yet, specifically in this lobby. We'll have to wait and see. I still, though, will contest that defensive bombardment is an insane ultimate for Gibby, and I think teams had wrote him off a little too quickly.
Zephyr, I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying it's unusual. Sir, we're having different conversations right now.
Let's check out that.
I'm just sad that he's been gone for so long. I feel like I don't know why. Now I'm getting defensive. It's almost like recently when it came to Gibby, you had to literally like, I think Gibby's good, and I feel like half of the conversation in your lobby would have been like, "What are you, stupid?" So I don't know.
That's
maybe
definitely
some
started to shift. I will say, Zephyr, this is a safe space. TELUS Esports Series 3. You can talk to me about whatever you want. We're all good. We don't hate on Jivy here. We are just, observers, impartial observers, maybe partial observers, depending on your Jibby takes, evidently. But here to see what these teams have to throw at us.
Hey.
Right now, that's a Jibby, and I don't have a problem with it.
I love anybody who brings a good play of legend out. All right, anybody who's getting a little bit crafty. That's why I was a fan of ChatGPT. It is not often you see Revenant in any form or fashion. I feel like some team randomly breaks it out during a contest or for like 3 weeks during a specific scrim, and then that's it. It disappears, and everyone on the Reddit goes crazy. They're like, "Oh my god, KCP Revenant! Oh my gosh, E6 Revenant!" And then nothing happens, and I'm heartbroken, but I'm entertained.
Yeah, I mean, at least we got some serious action out of ChatGPT last game. Now, Dead Off Drop have made a pretty aggressive move up. I don't think
there we go.
Any knocks here, but let's see as the longbow shots do connect, but it doesn't look like it's quite enough. Now we've got the skydive going off, and Dead Off Drop are going to inherit the POI of Overlook, the one that was left behind to them. They do still have a ways to go as they move up towards the north, predicting where the next ring will be ending up. But the landing on the bridge brings us to another, perhaps, conclusion about where this one's going. We talked about that climatizer traffic early, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better, as AP.exe have decided that this is where you want to be if you want to play zone.
See if they can set themselves up, but we are right back over to Dead Off Drop here. It does seem like Singularity was pulled out here by Snowscar to try to pull this one back into play, but is quickly pushed off. And I don't think they'll be able to follow up anytime soon. Arky, though, finding knocks onto Asan on Smurf. We might get to able to check that in.
There's going to be another engagement, the one I believe that you just spoke of, as ChatGPT have lost one, and GigaZeus gonna have to back off here. Doesn't find any damage, and you'll notice they swapped up the composition as well. Had pulled the Seer out for this next game, but the Bricked lads, not seeing any Revenant, fear nothing, and run it down at ChatGPT, taking them out of the lobby.
Mind you, I don't think we saw either of these two squads meet up in the previous match here. So I don't know where some of that kind of anytime I see someone ducking and diving and shooting on a box, I get a little bit of a thing. But King Blue here, trying to move in.
Zephyr, Bricked got finished off by ChatGPT and No Name last time. They ran as 3 people into No Name. I think that's where we're getting a little bit of the attitude.
Well, hey, they've got 2 more matches to potentially see if they can clap back with their own response. For King Blue, this isn't the starting one that you want. Already found down to their double health here, and I'm very shocked with double cracks found. No forward push. Okay, I was about to say, there it is. I'm like, come on, you got a little bit of height, a little bit of action. Send it.
There's just not a lot that King Blue can do right now. They are being aggressed on this low ground, and unfortunately, Dinky on the zip line isn't going to be able to escape. Now, we did talk about this last game as well. Having a Loba on your team does change things, but when you're all dead, it's not changing much.
For Bricked lads, they're now in a very hearty position starting off in this second lobby. That is 2 squads, most notably our winners from the last game, already down and out here. So in the prime position to potentially win it all, especially as we talk about a little bit of a deja vu regarding our zone and, well, potentially some more action left, well, behind them.
Now, getting a little further into this game, you're noticing the ring is pulling up towards the north side, and we already did see some predictions about whether things would go Climatizer or Bridge based on some of our earlier teams' rotations. But on the opposite side of this ring, we've got another engagement going out as Crimson Lotus play this map a lot more aggressively and drop down AAC, not firing a single bullet, but ready to break the door with this Arc Star. Does pop it open. Next nade gonna find its way in, and Crimson Lotus have to find some damage here in order to make the push work. Bubble goes down, and we are playing defensive on the inside.
Trying to jump on there through with Zyla. It is a perfect tracking beam, and
where'd they go?
A paired nade sends goodbye.
Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Roundhouse took a lot of damage, and then all of a sudden, well, the Brock guys exploded. Crimson Lotus, I like this aggressive look from them.
Hey, I'm a fan favorite of any kind of nade-centric composition there, but we'll have to check in a little bit later as they're just taking their time to get healed back up. We are backed over to Bricked as, while they aren't going for the full height, albeit would be incredibly difficult to take.
I'll be honest with you, Zephyr. My notes page does not like my handwriting's difference between Bricked and Brock. Those are things that are not very clear when I look back at my notes. But the Bricked lads, fortunately, have been on the better side of this game so far, having taken out 2 squads where, as we saw, unfortunately, Brock not going to be participating anymore. However, Bricked lads are in a bit of a difficult position. Now they've got low ground in a spot that is not going to be in the next ring. So as much damage as they've got down onto this high ground, you cannot push confidently until you get, I'd say, at least a knock.
Mind you, for this team, I'm pretty sure we saw some late rotators through that south side that could potentially come through from behind or apply pressure for where you might have to further rotate. Now, dead off drop leaving is not something I expected. They had a very dominant position. They're going to leave that one lying in wait with the Rolling Thunder, but, you know, setting up for end zone positions.
They aren't the only ones playing this conservatively. We have had a lot less action this game around. Teams really recognizing that placement points matter quite a bit. Meekwo heals up, I would say in line of sight of absolutely everyone. It's a miracle that that bat went off. No idea how it happened, but they're going to be alive, and dead off drop will be rotating further up to the north around the outside of Climatizer as Fez start pushing in this sort of in-between macaroni building that separates Climatizer and Epicenter.
Looks like everyone else, though, from this building has found their way down into the Climatizer fence line, and once you've already made it that far, you are relatively safe here. It is a big, big crack, but nothing just yet. Meanwhile, Luminosity. We check in with them. I'm surprised. I was going to say, it's a minor bit of height, but it is more than enough to give them their advantage here.
This is looking really good, and Exodia is frying as expected of this pickup for the tournament. Luminosity Gaming play with confidence, knowing that they've got full control of this ridge, but not a knock to have come through just yet. Instead, dead off drop bite the dust before we even see Luminosity pick up their first drop. Now they're going to be running in for these subsequent kills since Xander has already been taken down.
Mind you, I'm pretty sure we saw that from our Bricked squad here. Pick up a pardoning fair of some of that KP, and looks like they might do some more for Canadian Demons. They're going to try their best. Jen Rachel here, and it's Decoy pulling off that Mirage ultimate to see if they can dissuade, but it doesn't seem like it has really found any kind of safety.
It's a much better position than Canadian Demons were in last game, though. Again, playing things out as a duo, making it to top 7 after being eliminated as the first squad last time around, and hot dropping as well. Remember, Canadian Demons as a duo split a POI.
Well, I mean, we'll see how they can respond here now. In the face of, well, tippity taps. They hear it, but they're not going to be making any claims anytime soon. They don't have the full information regarding the entirety of that squad. AAC somehow managed to slip through, get on top of that roof.
I like it. They've got a good position, and one way they don't have to worry about Canadian Demons, whether this be a duo or a trio, information that you may not have if you're playing from the roof. It's not something you have to deal with. Instead, you actually get the opportunity to use the squad below you as a little bit of a zoning tool should other teams want to approach. But the Canadian Demons aren't interested in taking up space. In fact, they're interested in hiding from absolutely everyone because it's a real viable strategy at this point in the game. One that Crimson Lotus may be employing soon as Zilla has just re-entered the game, but is in a bit of a dangerous position on this Gibraltar with white shields.
Set up here, we're on that height, realized really quickly that a lot of climatizers are still in play, and you basically can't play that until we start to see that zone start to play out the back end of some of these roofs. But Bricked lads, they don't care. They're more than happy to steal this position away and just control on the outskirts. You can already see Doc taking such good angles here. See if they can lay it in.
He's given them this confidence as well. Hierarchy on the seer even, just popping inside. Mello gonna take down one for right now, and confidence with the R9 brings him to an almost solo wipe of the Canadian Demons, as Hierarchy is taking an entirely different fight on the opposite side of this building.
Canadian Demons will say goodbye for Hierarchy. Gotta heal up sometime soon here. Now officially to be supported by Doc on that opposite end to hold off on this building, but really just looking to see if they can potentially choke this out still in any way. Meanwhile, Luminosity finding AP.exe as Bricked lads pick up a single remaining member of Crimson Lotus.
Crimson have been bleeding out on this fight for quite a long time as well. This was really excellently played out of the Bricked lads, and they took on two squads at once, a trio and a duo, but two squads nonetheless.
At this point, massively ahead in terms of the KP. Well, for Brick Lad, Mello might be looking for potentially more carting off to that opposite side of Climatizer. I'm curious if they spotted out this squad that lays beneath.
Now, Zephyr is just an interesting statistic right now. If the Bricked lads take out one more team, they will have eliminated half the teams to drop into this game. They are having an on-fire performance in round number 2, and it's why we can't say that game 1 counts for everything, because if we had stopped the count after that, we would not be seeing Bricked lads perform so excellently. That's another 2 dropped. I'm sure it's going to be another squad elimination for Bricked lads in the near future, and another crack to come through. I mean, Mello almost takes him down entirely from 500 meters.
Mind you, Doc and Hierarchy are starting to expand that one a little bit forward. It is going to be Hierarchy, I believe, potentially closing the distance there. Mind you, very surprising, given that it is a Seer, your least mobile character, but he's confident. He's got it in clutches to say goodbye to Mennonites.
All right, well, that's another, and that's half the lobby.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Wow.
Yeah,
that is absurd. Well, they'll look to continue finding more here for Luminosity. They step up right from behind Fez with their own presence. And now both of these teams losing out on one member. I mean, we're set up for a perfect bricked up ending.
Yeah, Dopey not looking good on the outside. That is the full thirst with the Hemlock this time around. The Bricked lads do take up even more space. Exodia and Ducks sat on the inside. Unfortunately, the outside of the zone are going to have to leave without a Wraith portal, and the Bricked lads sit right in between both of these teams and the only safe position on the map. Horizon Ultimate going to expose Duck Tenna for a little while, but Mello makes sure to cover with the R99 from a distance. Luminosity go down, and the Bricked lads are your champions.
An absolutely dominant showcasing from the Bricked lads coming out of our second game here. And I mean, that is as good as it gets. I cannot imagine a performance that will replicate even within our next 3 and 4th game, even from Bricked lads. I mean, that is a once in a lifetime opportunity. What was that? How many squads did they finish up in the end there?
4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, because that last fight was like a 3-way engagement. Yeah, they cleaned up. If they did take down 8, that means that only 3 squads didn't die to them. They were one of those 3 squads, and so only 2 squads didn't die to them.
There was quite literally, if you walk into that situation, that same game, there was almost a 70% chance that you were going to get wiped out by the Bricked lads.
That looks pretty good. That's a good game for them. That's a great game. They could probably go home.
Yeah, they're all done. Pack up. These last two
mean,
games are unnecessary.
Canadian Demons were 2 players, but that is 3. That's 2 wins plus another almost win plus the actual win. They've basically won 3 games at this point just off of that alone. It's why we talked about eliminations being so important at the start. And Zephyr, we got some folks who are just jumping into their first couple games of competitive Apex Legends. You are going to have some bad games. You are also going to have some incredible games. And the Bricked lads are absolutely demonstrating that. The TELUS Esports Series 3 is the place to be for Canadian esports, and in the first 2 games, it has not disappointed. 2 very different performances, 2 very different teams actually making it into the end game, and I cannot wait to see what we have waiting for us in Game 3. Before that, we are going to take a quick break, but Zephyr and I will be right back to guide you through the last 2 games of the night.
Is that a phone? That thing's a gaming machine. Is that Faker? Everyone, fasten your seatbelts. And here we go!
Where's he at? Where's he at? On the other side. Wait here. Hack, knock one. We win! Let's go!
Okay, blood down. 33. I'm shielding.
Cracked 1.
Coming closer. Scanning now. Drop one. Drop one, yeah.
Knock 2.
No.
Cracked him. Got him.
Nice.
I'm tethered.
I can't. You're so
I just punched into the ring zone.
They're both inside! I'm going on this! My fence hit one.
On the roof with me.
Knocked her. Wait, he's coming up. Last one.
On me, I'm down. That's right. On the roof.
50 on her. I'm pushing.
I clicked the charge. I couldn't get it.
Jeez.
Let's go, boys.
So it's done.
He's got a knock over here. Be careful. He's got another knock on it. Playing in his knock. 140 off of Aaron. Got him all. Let's go. Get inside.
Keep going. Back door. 64 catalyst. We have to push that thing. Push him. Down. Keep going. Peeking. Back door. 64 catalyst. We have to push on, I think. Push him. Down. Down two. Crazy damage. I'm batting. Last one here, please. All dead.
When I first heard about the TELUS Esports Series, I was like, there's no way.
I was absolutely stoked.
You don't really hear about esports at all in Canada, let alone from a big company like TELUS.
Canada does have a scene, and we do have people who are thriving towards getting us into that bigger picture.
2 versus 1, and it should be their game. The Bronze Bonobos from second, now finally find first.
Simply put, the TELUS Esports Series is esports for everyone. It's our take of what we think the esports industry should look like and where we think it should go. It's way more fun to compete for something when there's something on the line. And the TELUS Esports Series gives players of all skill levels opportunities to experience that. We really want to make the gaming experience more fun for everyone, and we want to help the gaming industry evolve and grow the way that it should. And I think the time is right for it.
They're on a car.
Oh,
yeah. We're on a high-speed chase.
Face him. Yo, what's going on?
Crack, one. What is this game?
I'm lagging.
Go to spike back on. Go down.
They're down.
Je tombe dessus, Il est sur le pad, il est mort. Go down. Chill.
Oh no, down here, bro. Three. Actually three. I down one. Doctor cracked the ball. Will you shoot the catalyst? She's down. I'm the grenadier. One more in the corner.
Yep.
Dead.
He's one.
I got her.
Box,
You're dead.
box, ulting.
I got her. Nice.
Right here. Teams out there. Last one. Last team.
The TELUS Esports Series 3 continues. I was saying 3 because I was getting ahead of myself. Like, I know we've got the third game coming up, and I wanted to make a pun about it, and now I'm just silly.
It's
so
all
Zephyr,
ruined.
Yeah, I've broken it. That's it.
Welcome back to the TELUS Esports Series 3. We're just about to get started with our third game here.
This guy knows. He nails it. Absolutely perfect introduction, and it couldn't have come at a more timely moment because Zephyr, this third game is bringing us on to Storm Point, the second of Apex's competitive level maps, and I will say, a much bigger one to either benefit or detriment to these teams.
Well, I will say, with its size, it doesn't seem like it has slowed down the pacing whatsoever. Double down beast, double north pad already. It is guaranteed 3v3 action on two sides of the map here,
Yeah,
mostly northern.
You got to be going for it. You can find these kills as much as you like, but we're already getting some trident action from our other teams. The Bricked lads have started over in Spider Caves off to the south, and Chad GPT have whipped out the fuse, so the gloves are off, Zephyr. Game 3, it's combat mode.
Might be combat mode here for Chat GPT. I mean, sincerely, in one of the best forms I could have expected, at least for their 50-50 right off the rip here. I hear that Wraith. Straight into the phase right away. Try to see if they can sniff out exactly where she ended up and line it up.
Well, that's Zilla. That's done. We talked about this at the start of the stream, but Zephyr, one of the realities of Apex at a competitive level, at a synchronized level, is that when you're rounding the corner into 3 different weaponized, loaded up, ready to fight legends, you're going down faster.
That's all said and done, at least for one. Chad GPT still could potentially search this one out, but it is still so early, and with so much of this space also available here, you can see Roundhouse already rounding out this house away.
Oh, that went somewhere. There, the house, it be rounding, it do. And Chad GPT actually, now that they've, I suppose, lost the sauce a little bit, and they decided, you know what?
I'm lost.
We're just gonna do something else, and they find themselves a rogue Pathfinder. That gravity cannon, not the safety you'd think it is. I have slain many on a grav cannon, and it looks like we're gonna be playing a little game of Ring Around the Rosie. But Chad GPT are absolutely fine with that because it's a guaranteed point that they don't have to spend any additional time on.
Mind you, the launch is already coming through on the back other side. San is punching the beast, waiting for this one to come through. Finally, it's Vex with the Spitfire from behind. The real question is, where did they drop?
It's a gold Spitfire, too. Yeah, box physics are a little weird.
Especially in the air off of a grav cannon.
Yeah. I don't know about this one. I think they're on the hunt for it right now, and you know what? They got the time.
All right,
Plenty of
cool.
options coming out of Down to Beast.
Roundhouse, by the way, literally southern past the mill. Didn't even take a stop at that POI. The only closer teams being that potentially up here towards our north. We do have Canadian Demons now back in full force. Look, it's Zerbo joining the party.
Okay, this is what we needed. Or at least
There
you
we
gotta
go.
hope that it is, right? Like, now that Canadian Demons are a full 3-stack, they started off over towards the north side of the map, and they've got a team just sitting in the IMC armory ahead of them. This has got to be their moment, and you've heard us talk about Zerbo before, but if you haven't, this guy puts the demon in Canadian Demons.
All right, he's going to put the demon potentially on this squad, laying out on top of the IMC armory, and I'll tell you, I'll be honest, personally, I find it incredibly difficult to train and track. They do have the Horizon Gravelift, which is one of the few options that you can work with to potentially delay the IMC. But other than that, as difficult as it gets.
Scarnade coming through. Zerbo gonna have to back up. That's a 90 with the PK, though. And he doesn't even turn around, trusting the rest of the team to finish it off. What did we say about this guy? Puts the demon in Canadian Demons. He's gonna drop down once more with a drop kick out of the sky. But Canadian Demons aren't gonna chase that kill just yet. They're gonna finish off the 2 that they've already got before going for any more.
All right, I set that up with the grav lift, but I did not expect the mid-air punch from Zerbo trying to track final members found. And that's all said and done. It is a round 1 close, but given the fact that this map is as sizable as one could expect, it's very, if not impossibly, unlikely that you get at least your teammates back up.
AP.exe do escape down to the south for a moment. They've actually landed themselves, the single remaining member, of course, over by Stormcatcher. But Canadian Demons are gearing up for the chase. Zerbo in the driver's seat, and they've got plenty of opportunity to rotate in through the rest of the map, making their way over through Thunderwatch as it stands now on the Trident.
Now, as we tune back on over to Chad GPT, I will say they did have a squad that started off in North Pad that has actually eclipsed their position. So I personally am more than confused. It does seem like Giga going to get that Trident back in play, though, potentially give them the speed that they do need to get more well acquainted with where that zone currently is. Son going to pop back on and Backstar. Well, a little bit more catching up to do, but should be fine.
Yeah, if you guys were paying attention in the pre-show and the clips that we were rolling from our last TELUS Esports Series, you also would have noticed that Trident Gaming is especially popular in the TELUS Esports Series, whether it be our second or our third. You people love getting in Tridents and playing like Fast and Furious style gameplay, just running at each other and going for these car battles. Something that I'm hoping that we'll get to see today, although the Bricked lads, not being mounted up on a Trident, instead are going to be walking their way over towards Barometer, where we finally have teams piling into the ring.
Setting up here, Bricked lads, looking a little bit slower this time around, but more than well acquainted with the land itself. They are druids upon the surface of Storm Point, and these druids might be sniffing out their next, I wouldn't say hunt. Druids don't hunt.
They like, they commune, but that doesn't feel as aggressive.
These are some tree haters down below, and the Brick lads are going to make sure that they feel their wrath. Oh gosh, there's a charge rifle. Okay, never
Mello's
mind.
face off. What is going on right there? Mello took so much damage.
Put it away. Get that out of my face. Bricked lads, I like this from them, though. The minute they do face that difficulty, they find cover. All right, they say, in no way am I actually going to be dealing with that.
Never mind. No, thank you. And I think at this point, it may be time to craft up the purple helmet that's in the rotation this time around. I like the purple helmet. Whenever I see it in the crafter, I'm hitting a crafter that game. Helps out a lot, but it ain't going to help out AP.exe, who finally bite the dust.
Meanwhile, dead off drop. They're playing with what could be one of the more aggressive compositions, especially on Storm Point, where you maybe need a little bit more successful cover. You're going to drop down that exhibit right in the face of Luminosity here, and now's the time to run that Tempest.
And there it's going. Meekwo, though, gets dropped on the back end. Gold R99, not going to find that much damage, but the quick reload really helps out Snowscara in pushing back the remainder of LG. Rounds the corner through the Catalyst wall, but he's going to get shot in the back, leaving just Shana up to defend. Dead off drop are in a 1 versus 1 situation, and they are not going to survive it, with Dopey picking up that final kill, and now getting to reset with the Catalyst, even though there was a third party involved.
You have to be so careful here. It is going to be that first revive, and oh my gosh, even across the edge here, they have potentially more action. What could be the Canadian Demons is held off for now.
Got a tough fight ahead of them, though. Zerbo gonna jump up into the sky. Shield battery keeps him alive for now. The movement out of Zerbo is wild to take him around that corner. But Jen Rachel is gonna have to put up the necessary damage on the backside. Luminosity Gaming, meanwhile, end up going down. Decoy on 50 HP, but Zerbo's gonna take to the height, see if he can defend the rest of the team.
Chad GPTs, this is that squad that is chasing here, and while there is batteries coming out, Jen Rachel stepping up more than close enough to put in damage that counts. Flesh found on both angles, and with Zerbo down, this might be it for Canadian Demons.
They drop so quickly. It is like dominoes, one after another, and Chad GPT clean house, but they've got another squad incoming. Koi just found a knock, and Backstar's gonna have to play defense to try and get the third back into the game. Gigazeus is now making their return onto the map, and it looks like this may have been a solo all along. Third party not going as they intended. Fez are taken down.
For some reason, they're stepping into that fight, hoping to look for some health that could have gone their way. For Chad GPT, they fell too early in game 1. They want nothing close to a replication of that here, or my apologies, in game 2. Now looking to find a similar win off, albeit pretty far out on edge.
This is absolutely ridiculous from them, and I really like the way that they have changed things up after the difficulty that they had in that second game that you alluded to. And I will say, it's yet another chance at the composition for them. They have not given us the same comp twice in a row.
No, not at all here. And for them, remember, it comes down to just simple gunplay, potentially. For them, though, it is a larger rotation. We do get to take a look more directly at our zone. You'll notice the Brick Lads playing for that Spire directly in Barometer. And while typically we don't discuss kind of these end-game specific locations, this one may become a little bit more notable. There's a lot of playable space, a lot of safe playable space in Barometer, and could potentially see a deeper end zone.
Hierarchy just drops off the height. You know what? Who needs height advantage? Who needs it? Brick Lads, they're just running straight at the problem. They see a fight, they hear a fight, rather. They're going to go straight for it. Taking down one. You see why they've gone with this school of thought. Tends to work for the Bricked Lads, and we're going to be dropping in, finishing off that kill real quick, and a white knockdown shield. Sorry, King, ain't going to save you for too long. Knuckle Cluster, however, causes some problems for Doc, as he's got to jump right back out. Gets in there again with a quick shield swap, and we've already got an Arc Star knock on one. Another squad is about to hit the floor.
Diwa there picked off on the edge of this choke, and Donk, Sight, Xander, and Mishi, they might potentially walk into the edge, but it's just for that full wipe. Nothing more, nothing less. Turn their attention back towards Barometer, and I'd say right now, while Brick Lads are distracted, maybe make your way across. It's going to be more safe to do so now instead of when they have height again.
It's a really nice place. I mean, we've seen the Pathfinder a few times today. The Lightning Squad, I'm going to go with squad. That seems to make a lot more sense. Do have a decent position, as this does give them height on the next zone. And with the Pathfinder, they have the opportunity to traverse quite a lot of space quite quickly. Not a whole lot of staying power, however. Bangalore, Pathfinder, not the best at playing defense. And right now, they need to do it because they're being challenged for height, and they're not doing anything about it.
I told you, this might have been your moment to make your way across. Instead, now you're getting wrapped from behind on some of these choking teams. There is little bits of height, workable space here, but a self-smoke in position.
Not going to result in anything too meaningful for the Lightning squad, although as it appears, Mish is getting enough damage down to push this squad back. Xander does get shot in the back, however, as the Lightning squad get Mondo flanked, and Donk is left to play defense, taking down the TikTok King, but almost losing Mish in the process. On the Valkyrie will go down. Donk's got to play the 1v2, gets the flesh damage, needs the shield swap, but will not find it, and the Lightning squad go down.
So much split focus here. I believe King Blue is that squad that potentially actually might have just been the single entity fighting this one out. I believe it was a very good flank that found them that first knock, sneaking around the low ground to come through. But yes, I hear your ooh, ooh. I didn't do that. I didn't do that quite. It's more like a ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, as close as I'll get. ChatGPT are down.
They are. And it was the Bricked lads that ended up playing a big role, one would say the biggest role, in taking him out. As we have that next zone approaching, Bricked lads are again looking really good. Our winners from Game 2 have caused quite an upset in Barometer, taking down multiple teams, and they've got double red shields as the next zone approaches. This one's going to be closing in until we're forced out into even more of an open area. This zone seeming to pull ever further into the open water just to the north of the bridge.
Now, notably, you'll see 4 squads left with 8 members standing alive here. It's pretty much a guarantee that we are looking at rat-on-rat action, especially right here in the chokes. Yarky is so fast to eclipse that position. Last time it was dropping off the spire. This time it is full sending it into the face of the unknown.
Not something that I expected from the evac towers, but Crimson Lotus and Brock guys go down at nearly the same time, and that's it. It's 2 squads left. The Brick lads having to fight an uphill battle, but looking at the zone, they're the ones that have priority on it, and Dinksy is going to try and find their way into this little nut building. We'll see if they're able to make it, because Docto is already there, shield bat in hand, and ready to take away the height at a moment's notice.
Already sitting on top of this one. Remember, there is that alternative choke over by the Spider's Caves if they need a safer and alternative rotation.
King Blue, I think this is the furthest
Dinksy's
they've made it.
I think Dinksy is stuck. Might be too far forward, and, oh, well, TikTok King is already down and out here. That's one major knot. Dinksy below means they're separated, and with one last standing King, one final individual, Bricked lads are looking to make short work of this.
All right, well, we're going up. Let's see who's going down. Bricked lads pick up their second victory in a row and look pretty darn stylish doing it even in the uphill battle. What is it? Anakin would be proud. Anakin would be envious.
Anakin would be envious. It's a... What he can't do, they can here. The power of several Sith and more in the hands of the Bricked lads, and most notably, their second win on the day of. Potentially now in the hopes of picking up a third.
Yeah, this was a solid look from them again. Nothing that I think comes as a surprise to either of us. Game 2 absolutely blew me out of the water. Game 3, Bricked lads did look really good, and I think the really nice thing is that we had a whole lot more action that wasn't directly theirs in the middle of the game as well. We got a little bit of Canadian Demons, we got a little bit of Chad GPT, and even King Blue managed to come in second that game. It's their best performance of the day so far, and they did it by winning against the only other Pathfinder squad in the lobby up on that hill.
We never got to quite spell out how that flank came through, but it was something that guaranteed that they found their success. And finally, we get a little bit more of a taste of the leaderboard here. It was 4 KP for King Blue, but yes, this is what I wanted to talk about. Chad GPT. They go down in the face of Bricked and everyone over here on their rotation, but still, 9 KP with 5th is a fantastic place to end up in your third game, especially when you went out early game 2.
Yeah, this is really good. I mean, it's basically a win. When a win is only 12 points and you need 3 on top of these 9 kills in order to make it, you are in a really comfortable position. But the Bricked lads, with the points that they've accumulated today, are now on, if we're just dividing it by 12, like their 6th win of the day or something like that. It is ludicrous the way that they are running away from this lobby, simply because they're picking up so many kills in the process of doing it.
It's something that has stacked their score and will not be surpassed here, and likely will set themselves up for our advanced division. But with all that being said, we are one game away from settling the night in full here. We're going to go to a short break, but when we come back, your final match on Storm Point.
Is that a phone? That thing's a gaming machine. Is that Faker? Everyone, fasten your seatbelts. And here we go!
Where's he at? Where's he at? On the other side. Wait here. Heck, knock one, knock one! We win! Let's go!
Hey, blood down. 33. I'm shielding.
Cracked one.
Coming closer. Scanning now.
Crack.
Drop one. Drop one, yeah.
Knock two.
No.
Cracked him. Got him.
Nice.
I'm tethered.
I can't. You're sold.
I just punched this in the range though.
They're both inside. I'm going on this.
My fence hit one.
On the roof with me.
Knocked her. Wait, he's coming up. Last one.
On me, I'm down.
Yes, right.
On the roof.
50 on her. I'm pushing.
I clicked the charge. I couldn't get it.
Jeez.
Let's go, boys.
So it's done.
He's got a knock over here. Be careful. He's got another knock on it. Playing in his knock. 140 off him, Aaron. Got him all. Let's go. Get inside.
Keep going. Back door. 64 catalyst. We have to push that thing. Push him. Down. Keep going. Peeking. Back door. 64 catalyst. We have to push on, I think. Push him. Down. Down two. Crazy damn. I'm bounding. Last one here, please. All dead.
When I first heard about the TELUS Esports Series, I was like, there's no way.
I was absolutely stoked.
You don't really hear about esports at all in Canada, let alone from a big company like TELUS.
Canada does have a scene, and we do have people who are thriving towards getting us into that bigger picture.
2 versus 1, and it should be their game. The Bronze Bonobos from second, now finally find first.
Simply put, the TELUS Esports Series is esports for everyone. It's our take on what we think the esports industry should look like and where we think it should go. It's way more fun to compete for something when there's something on the line. And the TELUS Esports Series gives players of all skill levels opportunities to experience that. We really want to make the gaming experience more fun for everyone, and we want to help the gaming industry evolve and grow the way that it should. And I think the time is right for it.
They're on a car.
Yeah.
We're on a high-speed chase.
Yo, what's going on?
Crack. What is this game?
I'm lagging.
Go to smack, Mike, Go down.
They're down.
Je tombe dessus. Il est sur le pad, il est mort. Un down.
Chill.
Oh no, down here, bro. Three. Actually three. I down one. Doctor cracked the wall. Will you shoot the catalyst? She's down.
Well, you know what it is by now. We are, of course, back with more TELUS Esports Series 3. And as we are kicking off our first day of streams here in the Apex division of the event, Zephyr, we are going to have the pleasure of covering our last game of the day. The last time these teams get the chance to face up against each other, as you noted before the break, on Stormpoint.
Right. To recap ever so slightly, our first one picked up by Chad GPT on World's Edge before the Bricked lads have been on top of the world here in both the second and third, and likely lead the pack extra heavily as we enter into our fourth game. Is it potentially a chance for them to do it again, to lay their third brick on the day of? Or could we get a newcomer?
I like the idea that with every kill, with every win, they're just building towards one masterpiece 1980s California building. One of those apartments that you look at now and go, you know, that looks nice, but the plumbing might not be there.
Gotta get that checked for lead.
Yeah. Do they have fiber internet in this place? I'm not sure. Those are the questions you're asking yourself when you look at these.
If you're
these
laying
bricks,
I'll tell you what, it seems like they've got plenty of fiber.
That's true. That's true. I'm not going any further on that.
Hey,
that's
wait,
where the
I'll
train
go further,
ends.
but a different direction. As by the way, we see everyone land separately, thankfully this time around. But I do want to say this: just got fiber internet. Didn't have to buy it or anything. Just kind of appeared, and now I have it, and I'm very pleased.
It's very good. It's good. And I mean, I've had mine for a while. This is like absolutely like, I know that we're doing a TELUS event. I've never not had TELUS internet, and so when I found out that TELUS was starting to jump into
Apex.
esports, exactly,
Yeah.
when, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. These are the people that have made it possible for me to game actually like reasonably. Because I don't know if you know this, Zephyr, but growing up, I did not have good internet. My internet in California, not it. My internet in Canada, killer.
Like, it's the infrastructure, it's the improvement, and it's something that TELUS will continue to offer no matter where you find them here in Canada. And I'll tell you what, I wish I had it. I wish I had it. And I'm a little sad I don't.
Thankfully, you got the fiber now, and you know, when you go to visit, you get a little taste of what we have up here in Canada. We not only have some incredible Apex players, but plenty more to offer as well. And you know what? We might even have some fights coming up as Dead Off Drop. They are bunkered in Stormcatcher, playing things safe, but they got the deets. They know what's coming for them, but I'm sure they didn't expect the Maggie initially.
No. I really want to see the ballistic work here, but with Shanahan already down, a massive wrecking ball. Please!
Oh, Jesus. That was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in Apex Legends, and Dead Off Drop do go down at the hands of it. What a wrecking ball to finish them off.
Oh my gosh, that was nasty in every sense of the word. I have to say, there's nothing more memeable than a Mad Maggie wrecking ball and then the face of her shotgun right under your nose there. That's the last thing you see. For Canadian Demons, might be seeing the last of their own embers here, just breaking that crypto drone, and if I was on Triple White, I would not be taking this.
Yeah, you're rotating through Lightning Rod going, you know what? It sure would be nice to get some extra loot, and all of a sudden you're trying to evac tower out of there in the face of Zerbo. Not gonna hit the gravity lift initially, but takes it back after just a second, dropping into a 1v2 against a Rampart. He needs to take somebody down, but the rest of the team is gonna come in. Decoy wrapping up for AAC and Zilla. We got one remaining member, but the Canadian Demons, they got way more than they bargained for in that fight. And Roundhouse, you could say that he did as well, having lost 2 members of the team.
They can spy that one out there, but they won't be going quite for the chase. For the Canadian Demons, though, I am so pleased to see them now actually in a more aggressive pacing. This is a team that is clearly capable and has maybe not started off in the best place, but can definitely take it toe-to-toe with some of the best in this lobby.
Crushed it. Even with the white shields, they're like, you know what? We lost some momentum early last game. We did amazing this game, turning it all around, and we actually had some very, I noticed, short-range focused.
Yeah, triple shotgun. It looked like.
Yeah, I like the comms there. For those of you who don't know, Zerbo at the very least is known for not speaking as much in game. And
right.
And
yeah.
Canadian Demons, same thing there. You needed a little mag for the car, and what? Hey, walk away with my mag. That's mine.
Now, waiting for that tech announcement someday with Zerbo. But either way, for now, we'll watch Chad GPT as they continue to rock up the KP. One final member for them to chase down. Then just, you know, throw that knuckle cluster there. Make sure you secure the KP without having to delay any kind of time. And, oh, it lines them right up into the face of finding perfect cracks.
I will say, this is the first time that we're seeing Chad GPT run the same composition. This is, I don't know, that car is not the safety we thought it was. Brock, guys, they go down. 10 squads left. Chad GPT wanting to replicate their initial win. They could split this with Bricked if they manage to come away with the victory today. Tie things up at the top of the leaderboard.
Whew. Set themselves up here now, potentially some time to loot. There's a bit of a read, but we'll tune in more towards the antenna area for maybe a bit more of an even fight. I can't believe Hunty is running right past this here.
How is this possible? AP.exe turn around, but TikTok King hits the floor. It doesn't look too good for them as Fighting in Storm. Gonna take some serious heals down now, and finally Hunty gets punished. Bob No Bueno Ross gets taken down low, has to pop a med kit, and as a result can do absolutely nothing right now, but this isn't getting punished.
No one to close that gap there. You have to assume health was picked up on both angles. The pings coming through. Meanwhile, charge rifle from the opposite angle, a third party putting it in and putting them out.
AP.exe go down. Charge rifle from Mish really just making them suffer out in the zone. If there's one thing more infuriating than being stuck in the red, it's being charge rifled at while you're there.
Oh. Mind you, this is nowhere close to our zone here. We get a nice read of it from Mennonites, who have already set up quite nicely in the North Pan area. With a bit of a spot of tea, waiting for the rest of everybody else to slow down. Maybe come pay them a visit.
Thankfully, they've got the Fuse Newcastle Watson, so their siege is going to be unmatched, as is their ability to hold an area if they want to play the high ground. Well, the Lightning Squad end up picking up the remainder of loot after this fight before their, what I can only assume to be eventual rotation in. As you said, we are going pretty far north, so the majority of teams are going to take a while to make their way up to what we're assuming will be a North Pad ending.
Now, meanwhile, we did see a little bit of the tail end of this in that kill feed there. Chad GPT suffering much the same way they did in the last iteration of Stormpoint, finding face-to-face with the Brick lads and leave one up.
Canadian Demons. When you got Zerbo unlocked, he's going straight for Azilla, comes around the top and takes him down. This is a continued chase from earlier, Zephyr.
Yes.
This has been a cross-map team slay, and even now, with AAC left standing in zone, you still haven't finished off this whole squad. Crimson Lotus are still alive and with the chance to pick everyone up once more as they still have one member surviving outside of wall.
Roundhouse quite literally making their way around the house that is Stormpoint here and will attempt likely to try to get recovery. I never quite got to spell out that comp, but if it does have that support legend on it, it would explain a whole lot regarding how they're able to do so. Sadly, though, wow, that's so rude.
That's actually some controller gameplay right there. Like I saw that and was like, oh, he meant to reload. That's unlucky.
We'll jump over to Luminosity Gaming, a little bit more directly in the face of our zone here. They've got that Dark Veil down, but trying to eclipse the team farther ahead here. Mad Maggie broken, Horizon Shield broken, double broken, and Tro down. Fez out in eighth.
That was rough. That was a tough way to go, but Luminosity Gaming dial it in. There is really nothing that can stand in their way. We talked about the caliber of these ladies earlier, and as a team full of all women, you will have seen them in a lot of tournaments. In fact, not just all women's tournaments either. Luminosity have graced Apex Legends with a whole lot of talent, even most recently popping into some of our co-ed competitions. Well, Canadian Demons, they got some sneaky things going on. North Pad, finally where it's at. They would really like to get some additional KP. They've already farmed up 4 over the course of this game, but let's see what they can get for themselves. They should hear the gem.
There's nothing you can do, though. Send yourself up, and what do you have in this composition that actually allows you to...
What?
Well, Deathball works nonetheless, I guess.
How is Zerbo allowed to do that? Like, he's not touching these fences.
Doing?
Twinkle Toes McGee over here has Zerbo cooking up top, but he drops down right into Luminosity, who know exactly what's going on and are not going to stand by and let it happen. Luminosity take out the Canadian Demons. It was stylish, but Zephyr, it was too greedy.
I have to say, it was immaculately surprising how much play they were actually getting on that secondary height here, but dare Luminosity try it again? No, instead they catch Lana trying to go for the early looting presence here. They make it a 2v3 situation now. Mathasa and Mando are set up on the interior here, gonna hold on for dear life, and you gotta turn around. You have to aim at least. You gotta do something.
Nothing to stand in their way now. The Meno Knights fall one by one. Luminosity Gaming, now the owners of North Pad. And while they may not have the fences that were previously up there, we got to see probably what Zerbo wishes that he had done. The play with the horizon that took them all up to the very top ended up being a big difference maker for Luminosity, as they are now the sole proprietors of North Pad.
Meanwhile, I do want to bring it up. Brick Lads are still in it, and with 5 squads left, that's a 20% chance we're going to be seeing more bricks here.
Probably more. They're going to be laying in several additions, perhaps a couple stories to this apartment building that they evidently need resources for. Yeah, this one is looking really good. It's going to be one of those historic buildings in San Francisco. The Brick Lads, they have done some incredible work today. As we said, they'd really like to close things out with yet another victory, but so would a lot of other squads who do need those points. I'm looking specifically at Luminosity, who have an incredible power position, and I can only imagine that some of the biggest competition that we're going to get this game is between these two squads, because Brick Lads have a really tough time accessing high ground.
Well, they don't have a hard time finding kills where they count, though. Zilla sniped out and away. Mind you, once again, that is another res. I don't know how they are doing this.
Crimson Lotus just refused to die.
So, they definitely have a support legend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
100%. I don't know how they're getting the crafts off, and I don't know how they're getting the revives off. But they do it.
Somehow working out. Mello goes on the hunt for a little while. AAC is literally right there, and well, just like that, want to see a magic trick? Hierarchy wipes him off the face of the earth. AAC bites the dust once again. I gotta be honest with you, Zephyr, we're running a little bit low on respawn beacons this game.
Roundhouse is waiting in the wings, and while he sits behind his rock, I guarantee you, a crafter will appear and a mobile respawn beacon will all but do the same here. For Bricked Lads, though, they're just happy it's more KP. I am curious, though, how much that the Canadian Demons were able to rack up just alone from that exchange.
Yeah, I think over the course of those two fights, they got 4 KP. That's a 4-point easy, and that's not including placements, for the Canadian Demons. But, I mean, if Roundhouse can survive a little bit longer, it would look pretty good. This change to Mirage that has put him into the support category has really benefited this squad in the sense that they at least have the opportunity to get everybody back in. Unfortunately, the Bricked lads take one step too far, and Mello is gone. Now they are the ones that could use a little bit more support.
Big snipes from a long distance here, and Luminosity are potentially priming themselves to deliver on that win from that early positioning here. They gotta keep it up, though. It was just simple knocks, simple damage, a charge rifle from afar. Gonna push Dopey back for just a hair's breadth, a second.
We're tangoing in the face of a charge rifle, too. Dopey maybe taking a little bit of damage, but is playing with incredible confidence as Hierarchy pushes up to the door, perhaps trying to recover the banner of their fallen teammate. Luminosity, not going to be too concerned with defending it. Know that you don't have a whole lot of options in this game, but to challenge their height, and that is something that every team is going to have to come to terms with, because they have an incredible amount of loot in this area. Even with Ducks being chunked out right now, they're nigh on unpushable.
Nigh on unpushable, and they're about to make it worse. Back to this position that we saw held off by the Mennonites at the very beginning of this round. Will not only take advantage of death boxes and anything just about there, but maybe more. Meanwhile, Bricked Up lads, they say, this is a little bit concerning. Get Mello back into it, but they want to try to attempt getting some KP. It's a shame with the Flesh Found they don't finish the job.
Wait, watch it. Puts it from the air for 36. That is one tap away from going down. Hierarchy almost managing to find a knock, but King Blue survive and actually play a crucial role, something that many squads weren't able to do, having finally taken out Crimson Lotus. Whoa, that was a Kraber. Never mind, from Luminosity.
Roundhouse caught standing still, and maybe TikTok and Fox just the same. I believe this is our relocating team from seconds ago. Kitu's already down, and before we can even see it from Duck's perspective, King Blue is eliminated here. Now, granted, the lads are back into it. One other squad out here contesting against the two.
This is the game that Luminosity need, however. If I'm reading the map right, the Lightning squad are going to be the last team approaching and the only team to not have a building to play with. Luminosity sit on the low ground for right now, having taken over where King Blue previously were, but it's given the Bricked lads the opportunity to set up on high ground, the highest that's available to any squad right now. But Luminosity, they start running it back. You do not want to give up such an advantage. Kraber, gonna be the big difference maker right now. We've already seen Ducks find essentially 2 squad kills with it, taking out the last member of Crimson Lotus, as well as finding the initial damage onto King Blue. It's a good position for them to be in. That recovery from Bricked, though, integral to their own game plan as well. We'll see how they play it out.
I will say, albeit the Kraber is in play here, Dia, when it comes to that weapon, Red Evo especially, I mean, closing the gap is going to be very close here, as it's unlikely to get the full kill off now, even with a headshot.
Especially because Purple Helmets and Crafter, we talked about that earlier, but most teams will have had access. I mean, we've only got 3 squads left. You've either crafted it yourself or picked it up off of somebody else. Only 5 shots left in this Kraber, and less than a minute till these squads have to rotate in. Bricked have already put themselves in between Luminosity and the ring. Duck's gonna make smart use of the tactical on the Loba to relocate and make sure that they've at least got a playable position on this most northern side of the zone.
It's not the best, especially when we start to talk about the closing presence here, and lots of questions up in the air about where Bricked lads will contest. 7 bullets left in the chamber, 1 quick reload here to give Ducks good position potentially in that, but you've got to be more careful than that.
Bricked Lads just rolled up with a crazy flank. It's so clear that they want to take this 3v3 instead of trying to play a safe position in the next zone. It's going to come down to a Kraber shot out of Dux to equalize the 50 HP that she's currently missing. This is an uneven fight until Luminosity are able to heal up, and it's not space that they're being given. Bricked Lads are applying pressure like nobody else. The Lightning Squad just have to sit back and watch right now. They're thinking about getting involved. Right now, the pressure is on Luminosity.
Luminosity could potentially step up here. They've got a lot of space on this forward play. The Bricked Lads have surprisingly actually found themselves a playable spot on the edge of that corner here, but truly, it is Lightning on the opposite side who has the lion's share of presence when we talk about the final zone. Mind you, this is going later than I think any of our previous games.
Yeah, this is not something that any of these teams are going to be super pleased with when it comes to these final zone chess games. The Bricked Lads, the most unhappy of all, have no cover to play. They weren't able to pull the trigger earlier, and we haven't seen any meaningful ultimates come out of them. They are burning to death now, and with the Catalyst wall separating them from the rest of the lobby, LG have the chance to finish them off. Mellow is already so low, but with the shield back going off, they've taken an effective reset and now get to go on the aggressive push of their own. Mellow hits the top instantly, though. Does have the creeping barrage to end up covering them. Digi through the smoke is going to do them a lot of good, but how long can the Bricked Lads actually support this? An evac tower in front of them could be the escape that they need, but they absolutely must have respite from the onslaught that has been Luminosity.
Mind you, zone hasn't even closed in yet. This isn't even the most pressuring part. You've still got 20 seconds to go. Taking a high here. Mellow on the opposite side. A slide into Luminosity, but nowhere close to a good position. Will face double knocks. Luminosity, though, with 2 down themselves, face their end, but a 2v3 situation.
And Luminosity have just fallen apart in the face of the Bricked Lads, but these are the 2 players that made it happen, and now they've got a very small corner, but still one that could work them into the end game. Mellow's not going to be a part of this, but you drop into zone, and Doc swoops in like a hawk, picking up Mish and making it a 2 versus 2. The flank around the side, and Bricked Lads take their 3rd game in a row.
You just don't do that. You just don't do that in Apex Legends. The Bricked Lads, they deliver 3 for 3 here in a row. An insurmountable situation eclipsed here.
They are like sharks in these lobbies. They smell that little bit of blood and they just pounce. Even watching that end game 3v3v3, make no mistake, Bricked Lads were in the worst positions ever.
Terrible.
It was awful. How to turn that into a winning position? It takes crazy amounts of mechanics.
I'm completely there with you. It was a supreme victory, one that displays the true extent of this roster, especially when their backs are up against the wall. The exchange there against Luminosity should not be allowed.
No, this was, well, it was one of the games of all time for the Bricked Lads, but it wasn't even their best. This is like a chill game for the Bricked Lads, who have already shown us that they can easily take down 99% of a lobby and comfortably. For their first day on stream in the TELUS Esports Series 3, Zephyr, I think we can say that they walked away pretty darn happy.
Absolutely. Hey, even from this game alone, even though Luminosity go down in 3rd, it was a much better showing for them, especially with 13 KP racked up there. That is absolutely guaranteed to put them up much higher in our overall points.
And this is what we mean when we drop in and we get to see Canadian talent perform, because of course we are always looking for those next pro players. But the other thing that we got to enjoy today, Zephyr, was teams that are jumping in and getting their feet wet in the TELUS Esports Series for the very first time. We've had, of course, 3 of them now. It's in the name. But more gamers from around Canada keep on jumping in and participating in the competition, not just for Apex Legends, but in Rocket League as well. And the nice thing is that with the way that we've sorted things out, yes, some teams may have had a bit of a tougher time today, but they've also gotten the chance to sort out exactly how to keep their vibes high, how to have fun in tournaments like these, and hopefully are gelling a little bit more, because right now, it's okay to play however you want. It's okay to try as many things as you want. We're just working out things till playoffs.
Yeah, that is about as good as it gets for just about anyone here. It's not over, too. With the open division, you still have the chances to replicate potentially what you got to see here today, or just find those little bits and pieces of improvement, whatever they may be. For me, it might be aim. For you, it might be calling zone. But all I know is it's an opportunity that TELUS has come through with. So personally, I couldn't be more happy, and I hope the players are too.
It's always my favorite thing, watching the Canadian esports community be built right here on broadcast, because we are watching the, shall we say, building blocks or perhaps bricks of the Apex scene come together. And as we said, it isn't just Apex. We're supporting esports as a whole. In fact, if you're interested in learning more about the esports and gaming community that TELUS is creating, I'd encourage you to join our Discord. We've already got it up and running. We have for a while, and we've actually got a link right below the stream. So if you are at all interested in joining up with some like-minded gamers, having a little bit of fun, whether it be on stream or off, just finding yourself a nice, safe place to be, that's going to be the TELUS Esports Series 3 Discord. And when we're thinking about making Canada, gamers, people all around the world, a safe, putting them in a safer position, I'm thinking as well about the TELUS Friendly Future Foundation. This is something that is going to be constantly brought up throughout all of our streams for the TELUS Esports Series 3, because it's such an important cause that TELUS manages to support, making sure to empower youth and give them opportunities, perhaps even opportunities, to play in tournaments like this and have a little bit of fun. This is going to be a big rallying point for the next couple of weeks, because we want to make sure that Canadians all around the country have equal opportunity to play games, have fun, and live their lives. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, a big thank you to our sponsors for today, the Samsung and their premier product, the Galaxy S23 Ultra, Skullcandy, Logitech, and Astro, who have managed to put on an incredible event joined under the TELUS Esports Series 3. Zephyr, it has been one heck of a day. Any closing thoughts for us?
I got a lot of bricks. I'm about to build me a house.
All right, we're going to hit you guys with a cool see you next time over here on the DSA Twitch channel. You can follow us here and on Twitter for more updates, as we, again, do not stream just Apex Legends, but also Rocket League, featured in the TELUS Esports Series 3. So be sure to follow, subscribe, whatnot, so that you can keep current with all the best of Canadian esports, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.